My wife lied about being pregnant to trap me into marriage, so I collected proof, filed for divorce quietly, and took everything she valued most. I'm a 30-year-old guy, and I married the woman I thought was carrying my child. Her name was Sarah. We'd known each other casually in college, nothing serious, just the occasional party run-in, flirty Instagram replies, mutual friends. Fast forward 5 years later, and we randomly bumped into each other at a friend's wedding. She looked stunning, same playful smile, but with an air of elegance now. I was at a place in life where I craved something real. We danced, we talked, we laughed until our cheeks hurt. It felt like fate had circled back around to give us a second shot. Within weeks, we were inseparable. I'm not someone who rushes into things, but with her, everything felt magnetic. The kind of chemistry that makes you forget how long you've known someone. We were having wine on my balcony one night when she looked at me, eyes glassy with emotion, and said, "I need to tell you something." My heart stopped. She reached into her bag and pulled out a pregnancy test. Positive. I froze. It didn't feel real. We hadn't even discussed kids or a future together, really. But I wasn't going to be that guy who panicked or ran. My own dad bailed when I was a kid, and I promised myself I'd never repeat that cycle. So I leaned in, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "We'll figure it out, together." 2 weeks later, I proposed. Nothing extravagant, just a quiet park bench where we'd once watched the sunset together. She cried, I cried, and within a month we were married in a small courthouse ceremony with just a few close friends. It all looked perfect on paper. But somewhere beneath the vows and the forced smiles, a knot was growing in my gut I couldn't explain. The day we moved into our little rental house, I remember feeling like I was stepping into the rest of my life. It wasn't much, just a 2-bedroom fixer-upper on a quiet street, but I told myself it was a start. I painted the nursery a soft sage green, assembled a crib with trembling hands, and ordered baby books like I knew what I was doing. I was going to be a dad. That thought terrified me and thrilled me all at once. But Sarah, she changed. She started getting weirdly protective of her phone. She stopped leaving it around, always keeping it face down or tucked in her hoodie pocket. When I asked about doctor appointments, she brushed them off. "I already went while you were at work, or it was just a quick checkup, nothing major." She said she hated waiting rooms, that she'd rather go alone. At first, I believed her. I told myself not every woman wants their husband hovering around while they get poked and prodded. But then came the night. I suggested we go for a 3D ultrasound. She flinched visibly. I don't think I'm far along enough," she muttered, avoiding eye contact. "You said you were already 10 weeks," I replied, trying to sound casual, but my stomach twisted. She changed the subject and suddenly remembered she had to call her friend Mia. The tension was subtle, but undeniable, like there was always a half-second delay between my question and her answer. And behind her eyes, something flickered. Guilt, panic. I couldn't tell. The walls of that tiny house started to feel too thin, like they couldn't hold the weight of what was unsaid. I wanted to believe she was just overwhelmed, that pregnancy was stressing her out, but deep down, I'd started to wonder if there was even a baby at all. It happened on a Wednesday night, one of those quiet evenings where the world feels half asleep. I'd just come home from work when I noticed the bathroom door locked and the sound of muffled sobs inside. My heart dropped. "Sarah?" I knocked gently. "Are you okay?" No answer. Then, a shaky whisper, I lost it. At first, I didn't understand. "Lost what?" I asked, my voice barely audible. She let out this gut-wrenching cry that made my chest tighten. "The baby," she said. "I had a miscarriage." I froze. The air left the room. My knees went weak as I leaned against the wall, trying to process it. I begged her to open the door, to let me take her to the hospital, but she screamed, "No, I just want to be alone." Her voice cracked between sobs. After a few minutes, I heard the sink running, the sound of water and movement, like she was cleaning something up. When she finally emerged, her eyes were red and swollen. She was wearing an oversized hoodie and holding a small trash bag. "Please," she whispered, "don't ask me to relive it." Every instinct in me screamed that something wasn't right. No doctor, no hospital, no paperwork, just a locked door and a few bloodshot tears. But I didn't press her. I was terrified of being cruel in a moment that might actually be genuine pain. So I held her. I whispered, "We'll get through this," even though I didn't know how. For the next few days, she stayed in bed, scrolling through her phone, when she thought I wasn't looking. I kept trying to comfort her, but the grief felt hollow, rehearsed. And one night, when I reached for her hand, she pulled away, not gently, but like she couldn't stand my touch. That was the moment I realized something much darker was hiding behind her tears. A month after the so-called miscarriage, one suggested we get away, just the two of us. I told her we needed time to reconnect, to grieve in peace, away from the suffocating silence of our house. She hesitated at first, but eventually agreed. I booked a remote cabin in the mountains. No TV, no distractions, just fresh air and us. The first night there, I cooked us dinner, pasta, garlic bread, a cheap bottle of wine. One lit a few candles, trying to create some kind of warmth. Sarah picked at her food, barely saying a word. Every few minutes, her phone would buzz in her lap, and she'd sneak a glance, her expression tightening. I tried to keep the mood light. "Maybe we can hike to the lake tomorrow." "I read it's beautiful." She smiled faintly, but her eyes stayed on her screen. "Yeah, maybe." Later that night, while I was brushing my teeth, her phone buzzed again on the nightstand. I wouldn't have looked. I really wouldn't have. But the name that lit up the screen was Nathan. My heart stuttered. My stomach turned. I walked back in slowly and asked, "Who's Nathan?" She didn't even look up. "He's just an old friend. We've been talking a lot lately. He helped me through everything." I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab the phone and throw it across the room, but instead I swallowed the fire in my throat and nodded. "Just friends, huh? Don't be dramatic," she muttered. "Not everything's about you." That night, I lay next to a woman I no longer recognized, listening to her breathe while staring at the ceiling, wide awake. The Nathan notification had broken something in me, and I knew I couldn't unsee it. 2 days after we got back from the cabin, Sarah left to spend time with her cousin, claiming she needed a mental break. I nodded, kissed her on the forehead, and watched her drive off without looking back. The second her car disappeared down the street, I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at her nightstand. Her old laptop was sitting there, dusty, barely touched in months. And I knew I shouldn't, but I did. I opened it, no password, just a black screen that blinked to life, revealing a messy desktop filled with screenshots, old PDFs, and folders labeled with emojis. I started with her messages. There they were, full threads with her best friend, Lila. I scrolled and scrolled until my hands began to tremble. "Girl, I can't believe the fake test actually worked," he proposed right after I told him. "Men are so predictable. Once the house is in both our names, I'm done pretending." Pretending, my throat tightened as I clicked into her email. There were receipts for hotel reservations under Nathan's name, Uber rides taken at 2 a.m. from downtown bars, and worst of all, no hospital bills, no appointment confirmations, nothing to indicate a real pregnancy had ever existed. She hadn't miscarried. She had never been pregnant. I sat there for hours, copying everything. Screenshots, email threads, photos, every dirty corner of her deception. I moved methodically, like I was packing a wound. The pain would come later. By the time she came home, I was back in the kitchen, chopping vegetables like nothing had happened. She kissed me on the cheek and asked, "Miss me?" I looked her dead in the eye, smiled, and said, "Of course." But that night, while she slept soundly beside me, I started planning my escape. I didn't yell, I didn't confront, I didn't even flinch. I became the perfect husband again. Warm smiles, morning coffee, forehead kisses. She had no idea that every "I love you" was now surveillance. Every hug, a strategy. While she showered, I'd check her call logs. While she napped, I'd copy her bank activity. The deeper I dug, the more horrifying it became. Not only had she faked the pregnancy, but she'd also been siphoning money from our joint account into a separate one under her name. Thousands gone. My bonus, the house fund, even the emergency savings. One folder on her laptop changed everything. Labeled "Future" inside were pictures of her and Nathan. At first, I thought they were old. Then I saw the time stamp. A week after we got married, they were at a rooftop bar holding hands, her head on his shoulder, captioned, "Manifesting Better." That's when the truth settled in. She wasn't just cheating on me emotionally. She was laying the groundwork to leave once she drained me of everything I had. But what she didn't know is that I'd already hired a lawyer. I walked into the law office with a flash drive full of her lies and a timeline so organized it looked like an investigation file. My attorney, a sharp woman named Claire, looked at me with raised brows and said, "You're not just divorcing her, you're nooking her." We started drawing up papers, locking down accounts, and preserving digital evidence. Claire even advised me to install a camera in the living room, in case she tries anything reckless once she senses something's off. At night, I still cooked dinner and asked how her day went. She'd smile and scroll through her phone. She had no idea I was building a quiet storm, and it was getting ready to tear her world apart. The more I worked with Claire, the clearer the road to freedom became. But it wasn't just about leaving Sarah anymore. It was about making sure she didn't get away with any of it. Claire's voice was calm, but razor sharp. She lied about a pregnancy to manipulate a marriage. She moved money without your consent. If we frame this right, we can argue fraud, emotional coercion, and financial misconduct. We drafted the divorce papers quietly. I froze our joint account and moved my remaining funds into a protected one under legal guidance. I even pulled my name off the lease renewal she'd planned to sign. Legally, she'd be left hanging in 6 weeks with no backup plan. Exactly how she tried to leave me. Then came the harder part, building the character case. Claire told me to document everything. So I did. I saved every suspicious text. Every moment she claimed to be working late, but forgot to erase her Uber history. I began recording conversations, little ones, casual ones, like when she told her friend over speakerphone, "He's too scared of confrontation to ever leave." She didn't know I was collecting every arrogant assumption, like ammunition. Then Claire asked something I hadn't expected. "Do you want to go for full asset control? It's possible, given the manipulation." I paused. That house, those savings, my reputation, she tried to poison all of it. I thought about the fake pregnancy test, her laughing about it in texts, the photos with Nathan ... double quotes, "Yes," I said. Take everything she cares about. I wasn't sleeping much. My mind was a tightrope between fury and restraint. I'd wake up in the middle of the night just to double-check the files on my flash drive, because soon, this woman who thought she was playing me was about to find out what it felt like to be outplayed. Sarah's birthday was the perfect setup. I had no intention of celebrating her, but Claire said, "Act normal. Keep the mask on until the papers are served." So I went all-out decorations, takeout from her favorite Thai place, even a small vanilla cake from that overpriced bakery she liked. She walked in, surprised. "Wow, I didn't think you'd remember." I smiled. Of course I remembered. I watched her twirl in the mirror before our guests arrived. New dress, perfect makeup, that same phone glued to her hand. I caught a glimpse of her typing quickly. "Can't wait to see you tonight." I didn't flinch. I kissed her cheek. A few friends showed up, including her best friend Lila, the same one who helped her plot the fake pregnancy. They poured wine and laughed in the kitchen while I played host. It was almost comical how fake it all was. Then it happened. One of our mutual friends, Mike, joked, "Man, Sarah, you really scored with this place. How'd you convince this guy to commit so fast?" She raised her glass and, without missing a beat, smirked and said, "Guess lying gets you a house, huh?" Leela choked on her drink. The room went quiet for half a second too long. Sarah tried to laugh it off, waving her hand. "I'm kidding. Obviously. God, you guys are so serious." But no one really laughed. I did. A quiet chuckle. Because that sentence, that was gold in court. I discreetly tapped my watch to stop the voice recording. Later that night, while she was in the bathroom checking her texts, I opened the hidden folder on my computer and dragged in the birthday audio clip. Sarah had no idea that her favorite night of the year just became Exhibit B in the case that would destroy her. Even with all the evidence, even with the plan in place, there was a night where everything caught up to me like the weight of all her lies finally pressed down at once. It was 2:17 a.m. I remember the time exactly because I couldn't stop staring at the blinking clock on the microwave. Feeling like I was stuck in some alternate version of my life, she was asleep upstairs, peaceful, dreaming, probably, while I sat alone at the kitchen table with a whiskey I didn't even want. Reading those texts again, her calling me the dumb puppy, telling Nathan she was just buying time until she got what she deserved. Hollow, I looked around at the home I had built. The framed photos on the wall, the nursery that still had the sage green walls, the unopened box of baby clothes in the closet, clothes I had bought with trembling hands, believing I was going to be a father. And then the self-hate crept in. How could I be so blind? How could I fall for someone who saw me as nothing more than a stepping stone? I thought about the friends I'd pushed away, the long nights I worked overtime for our future, the dreams I had buried because I believed in us. I gripped the edge of the table, white-knuckled, trying not to cry, but the tears came anyway, quiet, angry, humiliated. That night, I didn't feel like a man plotting revenge. I felt like a fool. I almost messaged Claire and told her to drop everything, almost convinced myself to let it go, move on, start fresh. But then I heard her laugh in her sleep from the bedroom, soft, smug, and just like that, the fire came back. This wasn't about heartbreak anymore. It was about justice. I chose a Tuesday morning. No special occasion, no emotional weight attached to the date. Just an ordinary day perfect for destroying illusions. She was in the kitchen, wearing my hoodie like it still meant something, scrolling through her phone while absent-mindedly stirring her coffee. I walked in with an envelope in my hand. Calm, quiet, heart steady. She asked, not even looking up. I placed it on the table. "It's for you." She laughed lightly. "Another surprise? You're getting romantic again, huh?" I didn't say a word. I just stood there as she tore open the envelope and started reading. Her eyes darted across the page, and her smile collapsed in slow motion. "What the hell is this?" "Divorce papers," I said flatly. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. For once, she was speechless. "I've already spoken to a lawyer. Everything's filed. You'll be contacted soon with the next steps. All the evidence is in the hands of the court, texts, emails, bank transfers, the fake pregnancy, even the audio from your birthday party." She blinked. You were spying on me." "I was protecting myself," I said, "from the person I thought was my wife." Then came the switch, the crocodile tears. She dropped the papers and grabbed my arm. "Please, I messed up. Okay. I didn't mean for it to go this far. We can fix this." I stepped back. "You don't get to cry now. You don't get to beg. You lied to trap me. You mocked me while draining everything I had. And the worst part, you didn't even feel guilty." She stood there, frozen, mascara smudging down her face. I grabbed my keys, walked out the door, and didn't look back, because the first move was done, and the fallout hadn't even started yet. The fallout was slow at first, like watching a storm roll in from the edge of the sky. Quiet, predictable. Then it hit all at once. 3 days after I served her, Sarah was officially locked out of our joint accounts. The car technically registered under my name was towed from the driveway while she screamed into the void, barefoot and furious. I stayed in a short-term rental nearby, far enough to avoid her, but close enough to keep tabs through my lawyer and mutual contacts. First, the desperate texts. "Please just talk to me." I was scared. That's why I lied. "You don't have to ruin me like this." Then came the threats. "If you don't stop this, I'll tell people you were abusive. I'll take half. You think the courts care about screenshots?" Claire responded with a cease and desist. Then it went public. A mutual friend leaked the story how she faked the pregnancy, got exposed, and tried to play victim. Screenshots floated around in group chats. Even Leela distanced herself. Nathan vanished. Deleted socials, changed numbers. Whatever fantasy she had about a future with him dissolved the second her manipulation came to light. Sarah was alone, and for someone like her, that was worse than anything. Meanwhile, I was awarded the majority of assets in mediation. The court recognized her deception as marital fraud, which drastically shifted the settlement in my favor. The house, the car, the remaining savings, all mine. When I finally went back to the house to pack up the last box, I walked past the nursery one last time. The walls still held that soft sage green, untouched. I didn't cry, not anymore, because in the end, everything she built on lies came crashing down. And all I had to do was let the truth speak louder than her performance. It's been 8 months since the day I served her those papers. Life looks different now, quieter, simpler, and finally mine. The house is no longer a memory of lies. I repainted the nursery, turned it into a home gym, took down the babymobile that used to twist in silence over an empty crib. I kept one thing, though, a tiny pair of newborn socks I'd bought the day she said she was pregnant. Not out of nostalgia, but as a reminder, of how easily love can be weaponized when given to the wrong person. Therapy helped. At first, I walked in with my jaw clenched, convinced I didn't need to talk. But the sessions stripped away the anger and exposed what was underneath: shame, betrayal, and this deep, gnawing ache of being used. I hadn't just lost a marriage, I'd lost my own ability to trust myself. But every day, I rebuild. I reconnected with friends I had unintentionally shut out. Took a promotion at work I once turned down for her. Even started running again. Something I hadn't done since the early months of our relationship. Sarah tried reaching out once. A long email filled with apologies, vague admissions, and manipulative nostalgia. I didn't respond. I archived it, then blocked her everywhere, because closure doesn't always come from conversation. Sometimes it comes from silence. This whole experience taught me something I never wanted to learn: that some people don't love you. They love control, and when they lose that control, they'll do anything to reclaim it. But I took everything she valued, not out of spite, but out of necessity, because I finally understand now, you don't have to burn yourself to keep someone warm. And peace, the real kind, isn't found in forgiveness or revenge. It's found in walking away and never turning back.